Have you ever been told you think too much? Like it's a flaw, like you're broken. But what if I told you that it's not your problem? It's a mark from someone important in your life who never learned to hear you. Stay, because the next few minutes could change the way you see yourself. You think too much. You've heard that your whole life, haven't you? From friends, from family, maybe even from yourself at 2 a.m. when your brain refuses to stop running. And somewhere along the way, you started to believe it, that something is wrong with you, that your mind is broken, that you are too much. But what if that's not true? What if the real problem isn't that you think too much, but that for most of your life, no one ever really listened? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share might be the most important thing you hear about yourself this year. Let's start with someone named Alex. Alex is 27, smart, sensitive, always aware of what people around him are feeling. At work, he replays every conversation after it ends. Did he say something wrong? Did that person seem annoyed? Was his idea stupid? At night, his mind runs through scenarios that haven't happened yet. Arguments he might have, mistakes he might make. He plans, replans, rehearses. People tell him, just relax, stop overthinking. But Alex can't explain why he can't stop. He just knows that turning his brain off feels dangerous. Like if he stops paying attention, something bad will happen. Like the world only stays safe if he keeps watching it. Does any part of that sound familiar? Because here's what nobody tells Alex, and what nobody told you either. Overthinking is not a personality flaw. It is a survival strategy, and it was built piece by piece by experiences that taught you that the world was unpredictable and that your feelings didn't matter enough for someone to stop and truly hear them. Here's the psychology behind it. When we're children, we have one core emotional need above almost everything else. Not just food, not just safety, but attunement. The experience of being seen, of someone looking at you and saying, with their words or just their presence, "I hear you. What you feel makes sense. You matter." When that need is consistently met, something incredible happens in the brain. The nervous system learns to regulate itself. The child develops what psychologists call a secure attachment, an internal sense that the world is okay, that emotions are manageable, that it's safe to feel and then let go. But when that need is not met, not because of abuse necessarily, but sometimes just because a parent was emotionally unavailable, stressed, dismissive, or simply didn't know how, the child's brain adapts. It starts doing the emotional work alone. It starts scanning, monitoring, predicting, trying to figure out before anything happens what might go wrong, because no one was there to help process it after. That scanning becomes a habit. That habit becomes a pattern. That pattern follows you into adulthood and sits in your chest at 2 a.m. while the rest of the world sleeps. That is what overthinking actually is. It is your inner child still doing the job that was never supposed to be theirs. Now let's talk about something most psychology videos skip over. There's a specific kind of emotional neglect that's almost invisible because it doesn't look like neglect at all. Maybe your parents were present. Maybe they worked hard, provided everything, never missed a school event. Maybe they loved you in the ways they knew how. But there's a difference between being physically present and being emotionally present. Emotional presence is when someone asks how you're feeling and actually waits for the answer. It's when you're upset, and instead of being told don't cry or it's not a big deal, someone sits with you in it. It's when your inner world is treated as real and valid and worth understanding. If that wasn't your experience, if your feelings were regularly minimized, dismissed, redirected, or simply ignored, then your nervous system learned a quiet but devastating lesson. Your emotions are a problem. And so you did the only logical thing. You stopped expressing them outward and started processing them inward, over and over and over again. This is the origin of the overthinker. Not someone who thinks too much, someone who was never given a safe place to think out loud. Now let me give you 3 signs that this is your story. The first sign, You apologize constantly, even when you've done nothing wrong. You say sorry for taking up space, sorry for having a need, sorry for existing in a way that might inconvenience someone. This is what happens when your presence was treated, even subtly, as a burden. The second sign, you struggle to make decisions, not because you're indecisive, but because you never learned to trust your own feelings as valid information. When no one confirmed your inner experience, you stopped using it as a compass. The third sign, you feel exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't fix. Because you're not physically tired, you are emotionally depleted from carrying a conversation in your head with people who aren't even in the room. If you recognized yourself in even one of those, keep listening, because this is where it gets important. Here's the twist that changes everything. The voice in your head that won't stop talking, it's not your enemy. Most self-help content will tell you to silence it, meditate it away, distract yourself, just stop thinking so much. But that voice exists because at some point in your life, it was the only voice that stayed. When no one else was listening, your mind started listening to itself. It became your witness, your companion, your emotional processing unit when the external world failed you. The goal is not to destroy it. The goal is to finally give it what it was always looking for, to be heard. So what does that actually look like in practice? It starts with something deceptively simple, learning to externalize your thoughts instead of recycling them. When the loop starts, when your brain begins running the same scenario for the fourth time, instead of fighting it, write it down. Not to analyze it, just to get it out of the echo chamber of your skull and onto something outside of you. This is not journaling as a hobby. This is giving your thoughts a witness, and for the first time, that witness can be you. The second step is harder, but more powerful. Find one person in your life, just one, with whom you practice saying things out loud that you would normally only think. Not to get advice, not to be fixed, just to be heard. And if that feels terrifying, if the idea of someone actually hearing your inner world makes your chest tighten, pay attention to that feeling. That tightening is the proof of exactly what we've been talking about. It's the old lesson still living in your body. Your thoughts are too much. You are too much. You are not too much. You were just surrounded by people who didn't have enough capacity to hold you. Here's where I want to leave you. Overthinking is not who you are. It's what you learned to do in a world that didn't make enough room for what you felt. And the fact that you're still here, still trying to understand yourself, still searching for answers at whatever hour it is where you are right now, that's not a symptom of being broken. That is evidence of an incredibly resilient mind that never stopped trying to heal itself, even without the right tools. You don't need to think less. You need to finally be heard. And maybe, just maybe, that starts right now. If this video felt like it was written for you, it was. Share it with one person who you think has never been truly heard either. They might need these words more than you know.